Namaskar, Kushamdeen, Adab, Sat Sri Akal, and a very, very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Krishna Verma, and I'm the host for this lovely day ahead. And I heartily welcome you all to the Bharat Expo and Awards 2024, that is Business Hub of Accessible Retail and Trade, presented by Experiva Concepts with support of DPIIT, Ministry of Commerce and Industries. We are very, very thankful to all of our supporters, all of our exhibitors, all the delegates present here. Thank you so much for joining in. Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about Bharat, so I would like to start up this beautiful day with a few lines on Bharat, India. The sacred eastern gates, where the sun rises in the haste. The world has learnt many lessons. My great India, my great Bharat, was born for a reason. It was a land of peace and wisdom, an unknown temple of kingdom. The kindness in the hearts that ruled, hence many the lust was lured. The treasures were many, the sciences were the money. The land of that magical math, the great Bharat, was really unmatched. Many cultures were embraced, where tolerances were local, and many tongues that found the sweetness of love and bond. The history is not just enough. Born were the very noble and tough, a silent battle without weapons was another lesson that really happened. India is a mother, friendly and warm. It's a pond of wishes that no one can harm. India is a wonder which keeps one thinking. Every Indian is a family that keeps it from sinking. India is a land which harvested happiness and touch of light in the lives of blackness. Behold that wonder which is not left in fate. My great Bharat is greatness ever to be great. And with the big Viksit Bharat Abhiyan, ladies and gentlemen, the Independence Day, that motto that we have this year is all about Viksit Bharat. And Viksit Bharat के लिए, ladies and gentlemen, भारत के जितने भी entrepreneurs हैं, जितने startups हैं, जितने भी businessmen हैं, everybody, they take part and they are looking forward to have Bharat reaching to that Sone ki Chiriya once again. And this is the reason why Experiva Concepts have made this event, ladies and gentlemen. The first concept was to give a platform to all the entrepreneurs, the startups of the Bharat, to make Bharat ahead of what we ever think, ladies and gentlemen. We're very, very thankful to Experiva Concepts for making this possible and all of you out here. With the support of DPIIT, Ministry of Commerce and Industries, this is possible, ladies and gentlemen. Bharat Expo and Awards 2024, business hubs for accessible retail and trade. We're very, very thankful to all of our partners. Gold partner B26 Recreated Perfumes, silver partner The First Home, bronze partner Infoneo Technologies, associated partner Edge Events, knowledge partner Rethink AI, supporting partner Consultancy Ventures, IBSEA, that is International Business Startups and Entrepreneur Association, RCCI, that is Rajasthan Chamber of Commerce and Industries, marketing partner International Exhibitions, fabrication partner Greens Entertainment, strategic partner meant for cinematics, PR partner News Rich, and startup news ticketing partner Tickets 99. एंड लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, भारत के विकास में हमारे जितने भी इंजीनियर्स हैं उनका बहुत अहम रोल है और आज Engineers Day, ladies and gentlemen. So very, very happy Engineers Day to all the engineers of the country who are making us proud, not only for India, not only for Bharat, but for the world, ladies and gentlemen. आज हम इंजीनियर दिवस मना रहे हैं यह दिन देश के महान इंजीनियर एम विश्वेश्वरैया जी की उनकी जन्म तिथि के अवसर पर मना रहे हैं हम। कावेरी नदी पर उन्होंने जो बनाया था कृष्ण राज सागर डैम से आज भी लाखों लोग और लाखों किसान और जन सामान्य लाभान्वित होते हैं। देश के उस हिस्से में तो वे पूजनीय है ही, तो पूरे विश्व में ये पूजनीय है। उन्हें बहुत ही सम्मान और आत्मीयता के साथ हम याद करते हैं इंजीनियर दिवस पे। और क्यों ना करें, क्योंकि भारत के नवनिर्माण में इनका बहुत योगदान रहा है और सभी इंजीनियर्स का इनफैक्ट। तो हमारे भारतीय इंजीनियर्स ने हमारे देश के निर्माण में और दुनिया में भी अभूतपूर्व योगदान दिया है, चाहे काम को लेकर अपना समर्पण हो या उनकी बारीक नज़र भारतीय इंजीनियर्स की एक अलग ही पहचान है दुनिया में। ये सच्चाई है कि हमें गर्व है कि हमारे इंजीनियर्स देश के विकास को मजबूती से आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं, देशवासियों के जीवन को बेहतर बना रहे हैं। इस अवसर पर हमारे एक्सपेरिवा कॉन्सेप्ट की सारी टीम सभी इंजीनियर्स को, हमारे भारतीय इंजीनियर्स को सलाम देती है और बहुत रिस्पेक्टफुल जितने भी इंजीनियर्स हैं उनको हैप्पी इंजीनियर्स डे। कैन वी हैव अ राउंड ऑफ अप्लॉज फॉर ऑल द इंजीनियर्स ऑफ द कंट्री, लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन? And ladies and gentlemen, we have a fantastic day ahead today. We have got some great panel discussions, some great speakers on how to make Bharat, ahead of the way we think. टेक्नोलॉजी की दुनिया में से लेके एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप, स्टार्टअप्स, बहुत कुछ है जो भारत एक्सपो एंड अवार्ड्स 2024 लेके आया है हम लोगों के लिए. So, ladies and gentlemen, may I please request our Managing Director of Experiva Concepts, Mr. Nitin Mahawar ji, and Ms. Alka Sachdeva ji, Deputy Director, IILM University, to kindly escort our panelists on stage. Dr. Bhupender Kumar, Director, GNIOT, Institute of Management Studies, Ms. Shivani Sharma Singh, National Head Government Project, LG Electronics, Mr. Ashish Kumar, Service Delivery Manager, Tata Consultancy Services, Mr. Himanshu, Jessie, Wadia, Director, IT Infrastructure and DSS Amdocs. And I will request you to please your seat, and then we'll go ahead for the lunch writing ceremony. शुभम करोति कल्याणम आरोग्यम धन संपदा. शुभम करोति कल्याणम आरोग्यम धन संपदा. शत्रु बुद्धि विनाशाय दीप ज्योतिर नमोस्तुते. दीप ज्योतिर परब्रह्म दीप ज्योतिर जनार्दनः. दीपो हर्तु मे पापम दीपो हर्तु मे पापम दीपो ज्योतिर नमोस्तुते. We bow down to the auspicious lamp, auspicious Diya, for all the wisdom and take blessings of Ma Saraswati and the Almighty. भारत में कई ईश्वर से लेके गॉड, अल्लाह सबको प्रे किया जाता है, and that's the universal energy, ladies and gentlemen. वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुर्मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा. सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा. सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा. कोई भी विघ्न न आए, और गणपति बापा मोरिया को हम यही प्रे करते हैं कि हमें स्ट्रेंथ दे और सभी ऑब्स्टेकल्स को ईजाद करके हमें स्ट्रेंथ दे. हमारा जो आज का दिन है, जो हमारा लक्ष्य है, हम पा सके. गणपति बापा मोरिया. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, in Maharashtra especially, a lot of गणेश जी को रखा जाता है घर पे और विसर्जन होगा. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, Make in India initiative was launched globally in September 2014 by Honorable Prime Minister of Bharat as a part of India's renewed focus on manufacturing. The objective of the initiative is to promote India as the most preferred global manufacturing destination, Since the launch of this landmark initiative, the government of Bharat has taken several reform initiatives to create an enabling environment for providing an impetus to manufacturing, design, innovation, and startups. Bharat has emerged as the fastest growing economy globally. Bharat's rate of growth of 7.5%, ladies and gentlemen. That's a big one, and that needs a round of applause. 7.5% is accelerating, and it remains an oasis of growth in the midst of a subdued economic landscape across the world. The Make in India initiative aims to make our nation, Bharat, an integral part of the global supply chain. And that's how, ladies and gentlemen, Experiva Concepts um, have this initiative, the first of its edition, ladies and gentlemen, Bharat Expo and Awards 2024, where we are focusing on the entrepreneurs, the startups, and Make in India concept, ladies and gentlemen. And to give the welcome address, may I please welcome on stage Mr. Nitin Mahawarji, Managing Director of Experiva Concepts, to be able to welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Bhupender, thank you so much for your auspicious presence at the event. Mr. Himanshu, Ms. Shivani, Mr. Ashish, and Mr. Rakesh Sidana, he's sitting downstairs by the sofa, Ms. Vasundhara, and all our guests. We are really glad to have you here at Bharat Expo and Awards. Bharat Expo and Awards, it's an initiative. Uh, as the name says, we have given a complete name of Bharat as Bharat Business Hub for Accessible Retail and Trade. That is the vision actually. That is why we have created this event to make Bharat as a global business hub for all kind of accessible retail and trade. And it's an initiative, as you know, by our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji. Uh, Bharat Expo and Awards is focusing towards all kind of business owners, entrepreneurs, MSMEs, and startup uh, to encourage and recognize their contribution towards the growth of our Indian economy. And we are trying to facilitate their business tie-ups with potential channel partners, and also we are aiming to attract funding support for them, because most of the startups nowadays they're really struggling for fund support, and that is the area where we are focusing more to provide them a proper, whether it's a seed funding or whether it's a early stage funding, or later on if they want to grow their business. So all kind of support actually we are aiming to provide them through our various investors, angel investors, or venture capitalists. Also, as it is very important for the economic growth of Bharat to aim towards the correct utilization of the existing Indian talent base. So, as our Honorable Prime Minister has given the impetus to growth with the several innovation initiatives such as Make in India, Vocal for Local, Digital India, 100 Smart Cities, and Scale India. The concept of Bharat Expo and Awards is an initiative by our organization Experiva Concept to support Make in India and Vocal for Local programs being led by the Department of Promotion of Industry and Internet Trade DPIIT by Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of Bharat. Today morning, actually, I got a very beautiful message from one of my very close friend, and she is a poet, and very beautiful poetry she has sent to me, and she gave me a message. Nitin, since you are holding this event, her name is Miss Ravneet Ahluwalia. So I would like to read those lines, which is in support of, or you can say, to encourage startups and MSMEs. So हर शख्स जैसे अलग हैं उनके मकसद और रास्ते, किसी भी राह में बिछे हैं पत्थर, तो कोई सजाए फूल किसी के वास्ते। माना सबके मकसद अपने हैं, अपनी अपनी है राह, शुरू होती है कहानी वहां से, टूटे ना आस, बुझे ना चाह। चाहे जितनी दूर हो मंजिल, रुकावट भरी हो गलियां, बस राही ये भूल ना जाना, खुशबूदार हैं कामयाबी की कलियां। कुछ बातें जो गांठ बांध लो, हर मुश्किल राह की हो आसान, सच्चा मन और रब का साथ हो तो झुका सकते हो आसमां। So this is a beautiful message actually she sent to me uh, for the encouragement of all the startups and MSMEs at a stage, at the very beginning stage, with some kind of failures they feel like nahi humse nahi ho pa raha. So this kind of motivation actually we just wanted to give them कि हारना नहीं है. We all people, our honorable guests, you all are with you all are with them to support them, to encourage them. जो भी आपकी तरफ से अपने अपनी तरफ से सपोर्ट बन सकता है, आप उसके लिए तैयार हैं. हमारा पूरा भारत इनफैक्ट उसके लिए सामने उनसे हाथ मिलाने के लिए खड़ा है. हमारी गवर्नमेंट उनके साथ हाथ मिलाने के लिए खड़ी है, उनके सपोर्ट के लिए खड़ी है थ्रू देयर वेरियस इनिशिएटिव्स. तो मैं बहुत ज्यादा आपका वक्त नहीं लूंगा. एक छोटा सा वीडियो मैं आपके सामने यहाँ प्ले करना चाहता हूँ, विच इज अबाउट नया भारत. आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट मार्शिया जस्ट प्ले द वीडियो.
मैं भारत हूँ, नया भारत, आज का भारत, आपका भारत, सदाचार और संस्कारों में लिपटा हुआ, अपनी संस्कृति और सभ्यता के नए अध्याय लिखता हुआ, उन्नति की राह पर विश्व के समक्ष नए नए कीर्तिमान रचता हुआ भारत, देश की बेटियों को शीर्ष पर उठाता हुआ, महिलाओं के सम्मान के लिए प्रतिबद्धता दिखाता हुआ, गरीब कल्याण में नित नई योजनाएं लेकर सबको समान अधिकार दिलाता हुआ भारत, देशवासियों की सृजनात्मक शक्ति को सराहकर हर कार्य क्षेत्र में रोजगार के नए अवसर बनाकर भारतीय कौशल द्वारा स्वदेशी उत्पादन को प्रोत्साहित कर स्वावलंबी बनता हुआ आत्मनिर्भर भारत, नव उद्यमी एवं व्यापारियों के लिए अवसर उत्पन्न कराता हुआ, भारतीय संस्कृति, तकनीक एवं विज्ञान का मंथन कराता हुआ, नई बुलंदियों को छूकर विश्व गुरु बनने की राह पर अग्रसर, विश्व के कल्याण में कदम से कदम मिलाता भारत. तो आओ अपने भारत के विकास में तुम भी हाथ मिलाओ, अपने व्यवसाय की उन्नति में नए आयाम बनाओ, दिखा दो सबको अपना हुनर, अपना कौशल, अपनी सृजनात्मकता, बन जाओ तुम खुद के उज्जवल भविष्य के वक्ता. आओ और दिखा दो अपनी असीमित क्षमताओं का भारत, देश के कुशल नेतृत्व में कंधे से कंधा मिलाता भारत. सहयोग को तुम्हारे आतुर हैं क्रेता, निवेशक एवं सरकार. तो चलो लहराए भारत की पताका विश्व पटल पर अब की बार.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका. तो जैसा आपने वीडियो में देखा, कहीं ना कहीं इसी सोच को, इसी मोटिव को लेकर हमारा एक ही प्रयास है भारत एक्सपो एंड अवार्ड्स, जिसे हम चाहते हैं कि हमारा भारत सच में विश्व पटल पर अपना तिरंगा सर्वोपरि लहराए. तो इसी प्रयास के लिए आज सेकेंड डे भारत एक्सपो एंड अवार्ड्स, वी वुड लाइक टू स्टार्ट with our first panel discussion with our honorable guests. I would like to invite Krishna to take the podium and take it forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's rightly said that a river cuts through rock, not because of its power, but because of its persistence. Persistence is very, very necessary, and that's how we persistently try to bring in all the entrepreneurs and the startups and give away something from our side, from Experiva Concepts, ladies and gentlemen. And we have a very interesting panel discussion happening now. This is on the topic of shaping the future, innovation and technology for India's global product leadership. And the moderator, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome him with a huge round of applause, Mr. Dr. Bhupender Kumar Som, Director, GNIOT, Institute of Management Studies. Our esteemed panelists, ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Shivani Sharma Singh, National Head Government Project, LT Electronics, Mr. Ashish Kumar, Service Delivery Manager, Tata Services, and Mr. Himanshu Jessie Wadia, Director, IT Infrastructure and CFO and Govt. Over to the moderator.
Thank you, Doctor. And I really like the vision. Thank you, Bharat, for joining in. I welcome and a warm welcome to all the panelists. I hope this topic. So, how do we take this particular thing forward? Is we have roughly around 45 minutes? Yeah. So I just started the opening remarks. The series will be hearing opening remarks from all the time. From there, we are going to take this forward. By looking to the Indian export in 21-22, the right data is like 254 billion terms of IT services or probably services export where we have actually reached. And if I look into the data of last year, roughly 1,500 GCCs, which are global competitive centers, have been opened in India. So when I see the entire world is moving and where the India is contributing in terms of innovative, products and how exactly we are extending ourselves to the world and how we are making our markets, that we are largely expanding in the service sector. So if I talk about 250 million dollars, it's a service sector. But my worry is if you see the industrial revolution and everything, so if you see largely the product export hasn't been diversified now. We are still into largely automotive for exports, probably some agricultural product exports. And perhaps if I talk about the product portfolio that increase to space products, perhaps we are trying to make a market with defense exports. So the product export is pretty less, and the service export is looking very large, growing very fast. And so I see this entirely happening in two ways. One way is when the product-based companies are offering a and we are the main government of this world. So this poses a really big challenge. Do you think this is a sustainable model? That's the problem. Is India exporting at the standard ground also, or we are just exporting our services and also commodities? So these are the two big challenges which we need to look into how the future is moving. So I would just like to have your opening remarks by having this opening address, and I'll start with Himanshu. Himanshu, what are your opening remarks? Probably you can take 5 minutes, and after that we can.
Thank you, Dr. Som. Is audible?
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Som. I think you said the context absolutely right. India has evolved into becoming the GCC of the world. People look forward to sending their services outsourcing to India. But how has their decision been aligned with what we want from the world? That has never been clearly defined, neither at the statutory level, nor at the organization level, at the country level. I will tell you about my organization. Like I was mentioning, though we are a New York Stock Exchange, Seattle headquartered organization. We are about 33,000 people globally. We are primarily 95% of my management is an Israeli management team. We are 95% of my top management sits out of Tel Aviv. Now, out of the 33,000 odd people that we have globally, 28,000 of them are based out of India. Israel never was a very populous country, so what they have understood was that they could utilize India's population They were never on an outsourcing model when the initial plans of getting into India in 2002 were there. They wanted their delivery centers to be India, and strategically they started upskilling the management of India as well. Now, Indians are now at the top of their management supply chain, the top of the food ladder there as well. And that was a strategic move by the organization. I would not get into the politics of what's happening around Israel right now. The businesses are a little different ever since the Israel, the Middle East conflict has come up. But their focus on growing India from the services standpoint has always been there. Now, coming to diversification apart from services, what else that India can provide to them is every telecom operator would need the telecom, in layman terms, we call it the chhatriya, the umbrella which transmits the signals. Ever since we have eliminated or trying to eliminate Huawei from the scheme of things, organizations like Siemens, Ericsson, Nokia for that matter, have become very popular. Now, every operator requires a layer of customization on top of that. And that is at the firmware level, not at the services level. That is also being done in India now.
Okay.
So that was the first step where we decided to diversify and bring on a new thing to India. Having said that, all the top organizations, especially of the extreme West, they still think India is the center of services, but they have always thought China has been the manufacturing hub and India has been the servicing hub.
Absolutely.
They have not got their thoughts beyond that. It is very important for us to get that mindset changed and bring new things to the table.
Certainly. Shivani, please.
Namaskar. Well, to me, it is something like that the potential of technology is limitless and the opportunities are endless. So, as rightly said by Dr. Som also, that challenges are there, and in terms of diversification, if we say, then India has to offer more than services to the entire world. So being an OEM and one of the biggest market shareholder in electricals, we are slowly diversifying our production in India, and we are trying that the components which we try to import from outside India, we have slowly started producing and manufacturing those in our Indian factories. So that is one bigger step. But yes, like the way he said, that it is a very slow and gradual process, and the benefits of it are not reaching to the people in the rural areas. And it has been quoted by him that the Indian government has put in a lot of funds in R&D, especially in defense or maybe on quantum computing. But there are other aspects also wherein we have to see that it should not be limited. The research and development should not be limited up to that level wherein it is just limited to some specific domains, or it is limited to gadgets or devices. It should be a solution to solve the real world problems. And that is where the focus is needed. So definitely we have to offer a lot, as said in the introductory remark by that gorgeous lady also, that our country is Sone ki Chidiya, and it still is Sone ki Chidiya, but we have to ensure that Sone ki Chidiya should not be taken by the Britishers once again. Rather, we should be leading as a world leaders. So we have that potential. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Shivani. Ashish, please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Som. Thanks to the entire team of Bharat Expo for putting this amazing show together. The thought process itself of this entire event is, to flourish or to walk on the paths of what you were looking forward to. We have grown up interacting with the physical objects, but the transactional world, what you see today, is no more of that physical object. Anywhere, everywhere you should see today is no more the physical interference, no more lattus, no more tires rotating on the roads for the kids. The world which we have seen has completely transformed in last few decades, I would say. If I take you back to the industrial revolution itself, starting from say 1800, the first one, and then 1900 coming up, and then 2000 hitting the third industrial revolution, where you see the said context of this electronics coming up in a bigger phase in the entire global diaspora. In India also, somewhere we today we mark saying that, some days back we were saying that we were going to set up, the biggest electronic startups hubs in India. So that was 2000 should be the ideal era. So if you context it that way, so 2024 somewhere 24 years behind, or say 2 decades behind that way. So somewhere manufacturing aspects of India was led behind. Like Himanshu rightly said, we should not just focus on GDP, rather than that, if you focus on per capita income, which really would show you the real figure of where we stand today and where we have to reach. That is where we have to look forward to, rather than seeing that we are world's third, or where we would head to. Not now we are five, or we look for third being the largest economy, but we are also 1.4 billion.
Absolutely, certainly,
Right? So that
certainly.
is where you have to look for what each one is carrying home. What is the happiness index? What are we doing? Real grassroots level manufacturing, just services. We are the services hub of the world look at like one of the, the place to experiment and to start up their call centers ideally first. And still 56% of the entire contribution what we do today, is more of service based. Only 19 to 20% is what comes from the real time manufacturing.
Certainly.
And that is where the biggest gap is coming up. So once we think towards leveraging those manufacturing setups, is when we can look for servicing those manufacturing in India, not to become a hub of others manufacturing and servicing them from India, is what I look at this prospect.
Right. So it
Yeah.
poses a big question to Shivani. When you said that LG expanding and Ashish is actually countering that we should not be manufacturing more for Koreans, or probably manufacturing something of ours.
No, LG is certainly manufacturing for the Indian markets. That is the
Absolutely.
reason that, in fact, we can take the example of Apple also. You see that
They're
they
setting up
have
their plant
recently
in
launched,
India.
and there is
Certainly,
such
they
a
did.
drop in the prices that itself says. But the point is that we are catering to a certain, group, and it is not reaching up to the people
Last
who
man.
actually need it.
Understood. So that's a wonderful point which has been brought out, and like Shivani mentioned, that we call India Sone ki Chidiya, and one of the biggest reason is because 90 to 95% of our land is agriculture productive. And that's the biggest reason. Doesn't matter how much money floods out, but the land produces that much amount of money value. So that's one of the biggest things. Now, coming to this particular point, like Himanshu, you mentioned right in the beginning that yes, we need to diversify the products and something. So I'll just give a little rope here. So if I look into what kind of products we are exporting to in service sector specifically, like UPI is one, fintech is one thing which is India coming up big time, and entire world is looking forward towards what technologies are going to get produced from us. Even Mark Zuckerberg mentioning about UPI, and so this is one, fintech is one industry. What are the potential industries you guys see that, okay, this is the potential industry where we can make a fast growth? And so the part one of the question. The second part of the question, Himanshu, I would like to ask is, and probably rest of the panelists can throw a light upon that, like Shivani said, that it is very gradual process, and Ashish said, also mentioned that, okay, we need to diversify, but we need to look into whether how it is reaching. Is acquisition, like Tata acquired Land Rover and Jaguar, is acquisition takeovers, utilizing that money to buy the foreign companies, bringing to India, setting up the centers here? Is it also right approach to expedite that particular process? Himanshu, both the questions, please.
So I will try to answer the first question first. I'll give you a very telecom example because that's what I know. Do we all know, we have all talked about 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, maybe 6G. Do we all know the difference between these technologies on a grassroots level? So very simply, 1G was text only. Okay, how did we achieve 1G? The most path-breaking time was when, remember, on your landline phones, we started having those caller IDs. That was the first time humanity actually transferred binary over a copper line. So that was even more path breaking than even the 6G that is coming up. So 1G was text only. It could be pager or it could be a caller ID. 2G was text and voice. Okay. 3G was text, voice, and data. 4G was text, voice, and data together. And 5G is text, voice, and data together at high speeds.
Faster speed.
Okay. Now, how I'm relating to the question that Dr. Som asked is, now what is 6G? 6G is elimination of all telecom towers globally from the ground and beaming internet from the satellites. Okay, this is what 6G is going to be about. Now, once 6G comes, do we know that we already have a brilliant first mover advantage in the organization that was set up way back in the 1950s and the 60s, which is ISRO? Because satellites would need to be placed. They need to be developed and need to be placed. The first mover advantage, while the 6G transforms our lives in the next 10 years, will be ISRO. Now, ISRO has already started off its commercial model where remainder of the countries are also getting their satellites placed in geostationary orbits via ISRO. And there are not a lot of space organizations in the world. With the 6G coming in, I think India could just be the next focus for the telecom globally.
So that's one product which is coming up.
That is one, and that product could just be a game changer because all the industries right now are all telecom based.
Yeah.
A Zomato would not have been Zomato if internet was not there on your wireless device. The wireless devices are in itself a part of the telecom industry. Your OTTs that you see on your phone are all telecom driven.
Any of the e-commerce industry, as a matter of fact.
As that is right. And even and how telecom provides employment even at the grassroots level. We all understand we are in a remote village where your parents could go to a place called Sanjay Telecom Center and get your mobile phones recharged. He's very much contributing to the Indian telecom industry. That uncle who has a bundle of wire behind his cycle comes to your house, getting your broadband repaired is very much part of the Indian telecom industry. The market next to your house where you get your tempered glass on your phone covers, that is very much part of the Indian telecom industry. So these are all drivers. As and when we have new technology, new innovations coming in, we will have that change, the gradual change, and I think India could just be the epicenter of telecom-driven innovation for the next 25 years.
Okay, fair. Shivani, please.
Well, to me, it comes like that technology or digital advancement, if it can be introduced to any domain, like agriculture is there, so it can really shape the future in a very different way. Because if we have to see, the major population resides in the rural areas. And if the use of technology reaches to them in a productive way, I'm not talking about that a game is developed in US and being played by 20-24 years old youth here in the rural areas. We are talking about those people who are actually deprived of good employment opportunities. So innovation, if that is reaching to that level, why I am focusing on this point again and again, because what we see here, it is like all a perfect setup. But when we go out, the life is not like this. In the interim budget, the government kept aside a corpus of, if I'm not wrong, somewhere around 100 crore, 1000 crores, right, for research and development. But how they are going to use it, that will shape the future, that will define the future. And as Himanshu ji rightly said, that telecom is something which is changing lives and it will keep on changing lives with its new advancements and bringing the world together, joining the world together. But at the same time, if we are joining the world together for the TikTok or Facebook or Instagram and not creating the right business opportunities or the employment opportunities, or as said by Ashish ji, that if it is not going to impact the per capita income, then it is of no use. My point is that why do we use Facebook? Why don't we use something which is make in India? Why we cannot ban these applications and we create our own? If we start doing it, that's a very big segment. Like gaming is a very big segment, agriculture is a very big segment, and we can actually make a lot out of it. That will definitely shape the future, wherein we will touch the life of every individual. So technology needs to be, go up to that level wherein it can add some value, not to the people who are sitting in the comfortable zone or maybe in the upper or lower middle income level group, but it should reach to the farmer, because farmer is the soul of India.
Ashish, please.
So the first part of your question, if I see what stands out from India in terms of skill set or what is differentiating us at this point of time in existing setup, having lived in various European nations, what I've seen is India, Indian, especially banking system and the financial transactions, we are way ahead. Even when you compare to the European nations or what we say, the way you want to open an account, you just need to just call a guy. He comes to your house, opens an account, gives you card, and he calls you back. Even you know you need further loans. Now that is something which you have missing out, especially in the European nations. Second thing which I have found outstanding was healthcare. India, you have very cheap healthcare.
That's a good.
You
good
can
point,
look
yes,
for
yes.
anywhere, go to any nooks and corners, you get the best of best treatments, and you also have advanced facilities there. And in Europe, they consider Indian segment as a medical tour is also something
Medical
what they
tourism is one
organize,
of the big industries. Yes,
especially
it
to
is.
look
It
for,
is. It is. It is.
So that is another thing what India they look for. The third thing which comes to my mind is, is IT, which would transform in some times from now, which would be the game changer in some times from now. Having seen Gen AI coming up in India, and we are no more, falling up in the waterfall model of what used to come from the Western nations or come from the European nations, and we used to follow them. We are now more agile. We started thinking ourselves and then giving it a reiteration within our circle and started developing things and started having our own proprietary sort of sourcing and uh, delivery centers in that terms, rather than dependency on what we used to have earlier. We used to have a center of excellence somewhere else. Now what we are looking forward to is we have started learning from them, I would say that way, and have set up our own setups of excellence in India. And in coming years from now, I'm sure less than 3 years, you may see the industrial revolution 6 hitting up, and that would transform the complete phase of Indian, I would say, especially IT services in particular, with telecom also combining with that. I'm adding telecom as a part of IT and ITIS complete setup. So I think that would transform in a drastic way from what it is now. And talking about the second part of the question you asked about, how do we get there? Either we acquire and then that could be one of the
Expediting the things,
strategies.
yes, of course.
So I think we have already been through that phase. Uh, if you see in the other way, they have acquired us and used our services, and that is where we have learned from that way, using our centers or Indian diaspora as, say, for their outsourcing centers. Somewhere during that process, we have learned from them. That is one of the things. And somewhere we have also understood what is going on and what it takes to transform, right? So that is the learning process we have already gone through. Acquiring, of course, if there is something which is path breaking, of course, we have enough billionaires on the charts now.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
We have
how the
enough
how,
billionaires
how
on
the
the charts
TCS
now.
how the TCS is doing, by in terms of acquiring other probably small businesses houses across the
So I
world.
think TCS is also one of the big, highest, in terms of filing the patents. So that is how we look at things
That's
first.
that's a wonderful
Patents
thing.
is something
Yes.
what we file the highest, especially in India. If you say we are the highest patent filers, and acquiring wise, of course, if someone is coming up with a path breaking thing, and we think that we don't want to indulge from the grassroots level, so if that is one of the things, well, of course, any companies in that this segment would look for, and of course, we want to take that first mover advantage.
That's
I will
great. Yes,
just add
Himanshu.
on to it. If you all remember, about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there were 21 telecom operators in India. There was the Uninor, there was the Telnor, there was MTS, there was Spice Telecom, there was DPL, there was Virgin Mobile who tried to enter into India, there was ASL, and these are really popular brands. So market consolidation has happened because a few of them turned bankrupt, few of them wanted to exit India. But there have been a digital transformation of the telecom sector started in 2016 when Geo came into the picture. And like we say, in no business school, we've been taught on how to deal with a competitor that gives the services for free. We can deal with a competitor that gives the services for 80% of your cost, 70% of your cost. But how do you deal with a competitor that gives the services for free? Now I'll come to the part of acquisition. How did Airtel survive in that onslaught while the rest of these operators just evaporated? It will be enticing for you to understand that Sunil Bharti Mittal owns 45% of Singapore Telecom, Singtel. Now, Singapore Telecom owns 33% of Optus Telecom in Australia, while Optus is one of the biggest stakeholders of Telefonica in South America, Argentina, Brazil, Peru, Chile. Sunil Bharti Mittal recently bought 24.5% of British Telecom. British Telecom is like the BSNL of England.
UK, yeah.
So we need to understand that acquisitions can even not just transform the industry and your mindset, but also can save you when disasters like a competitor giving the service for free can happen. If Ola and Uber are there today, if Ola decides to give all the taxi rides for free, how can Uber survive that for a period of 2 years? There is no possible way without them having deep pockets. So that is how it is. It also operates in 14 countries in Africa. It operates in Sri Lanka and operates in Bangladesh. So if you have deep pockets from other places during strategic acquisitions and takeovers, probably that could be a pathway and that could be a learning for startups on how to survive if in case there's a market disruptor. How do you plant yourself in the market?
Yeah, but in fact, I would like to just go ahead, like the point which you have mentioned, and again, Ashish, I'll come to the Tata. The point when they acquired Land Rover and Jaguar, look at the technological changes which the Tata cars have experienced and how their markets have grown. Now, it poses one another question, like you talked about the umbrellas which India is producing, and Shivani, spoke about largely we are expanding in manufacturing for India. So what layer of product we are manufacturing? Shivani talked about the iPhones which are being manufactured in India. Now, if I stand corrected, are they assembled in India or manufactured? How would you say it? Because I don't think the chip is the M1 or M2 chips are going to, or probably A8 or A9 Bionic chip is going to be manufactured in India. So it comes in sealed packed item. So are we becoming, I would say, a assembling hub, which where exactly again from the same standpoint I see that there is no end-to-end solution in that particular case. You're getting something and you're assembling it, you're putting it probably into the domestic market, exporting it. So we are becoming a trading center rather than a business originator. So what are your comments on that? All three of you, please.
Way back in 2000s, when the West decided to outsource the call centers, like Ashish mentioned, to India, we took that advantage. We understood that there is something that we could do, and we innovated. That followed up with the IT outsourcing coming up, and now from the executioners of IT, TCS is probably the pioneer there. From being the executioners of IT, we have become the orchestrators of IT of the world. I think this manufacturing, the time of right now, while even if the chips could just be put in by China for now, or from via Taiwan for now,
Taiwan,
but
yeah.
eventually हमें हाथ पकड़ाओ हम बाजू भी पकड़ लेंगे. This is what India is all about.
Okay. Yes, sure.
Yeah. So that's a very good point which you have raised, that are we becoming actually the assembling hub? But I would like to say, like in the previous question you have asked about mergers and acquisitions, and the one point I would like to add there first, that in mergers and acquisitions, definitely apart from everything else, the business point of view, everything, there is a knowledge sharing also. And with that knowledge sharing, maybe we can create our own competitive brand in years to come, and we can compete with the merged brand or acquired brand, right? Now, coming back to your question, for the manufacturing point of view, yes, slowly the OEMs, they have started manufacturing, and as you have rightly pointed out, that there are certain components which we import because we do not have that technical advancement. Because
That's an important point, and
yeah,
that poses a challenge to Himanshu then.
because
It does, yes.
because every technical advancement they will require a lot of research and development, and research and development is not the case which can be developed overnight. It requires years of practices, then the results, then what will be the cost, or can we really survive on that cost, what value it will bring for, say, like I work for a Korean company, so we plan for next year. Right now we are not bothered about this year's targets or this year's plans,
Because they
because
have
we are
planned
already
previous
done with
year.
it. We are already done with it. We know our numbers. And if you see, then LG is one of the brands wherein we just do not fall from our numbers. Once we commit, it will happen. Once we commit certain market share, it will happen. How do we do that? Many a times we get a very for example, some TV technology is there, right? OLED is very much in, and slowly people are losing interest in LED. Okay, so now there will be a time when we see that there is a fall in the purchase pattern. We completely take that product out from the market. You will not see it. You will not find a model number. It goes with the entire product line. How does it happen? And it is actually require a lot of losses. It actually happens due to a lot of losses also, and a lot of technical advancement, research, development. Everything is there. So coming back to the point, yes, we are trying as a very serious and responsible OEM. We try to manufacture or to produce the product in the favor of the operating country as much as we can, because it really helps in making the things affordable and convenient. And right now, like the example was quoted of OTT. So a lot of things are coming on subscription. We are trying that we provide best of the luxury products for subscription so that it will be convenient for the people who cannot afford it to actually afford it. you know so this is how we are trying to bring the difference or change. And it is again, I will say, it is a slow process because research and development take a lot of investment, lot of manpower. But slowly and gradually it will happen that we will take the leadership in manufacturing the product, maybe in a class 1 make in India category. So in the government, how it happens that there is a make in India component of every product. Okay, it will be class 1, class 2, and class 3, right? And even the government understand that reaching to the class 1 category is not possible for some of the products, even for the top OEM. So they make it class 2. But the focus is that to shift from class 2 to class 1, and not to be just a assembling partner, because then we do not have the technological advancement. So we need to break that. But it will take some time to completely break it, and we are on our way to it. Thank you.
If you ask me the black and white answer to India being an assembly set or a manufacturer, I have an answer saying that the second part, the assembly, is what we are at this point of time. But having said that, India is also a country of frugal innovation. We have seen lots of transformative things coming out at a lower cost. What she probed, we are very cost sensitive market as well. We, whenever you ask for any quote, especially in supply chain, you, for anything, you have n number of vendors suddenly coming up, who can go up to level of level 2, level 3, level 4 sort of quality manufacturing, where they compromise on but delivering the output somehow. But having said that, you are not always conscious about that. For delivering this output, we always need a tier 1, or say the best of the best inputs. But in certain things, you need to have the best of the best qualities, especially when it becomes to healthcare. It becomes to very sensitive things like space, so research and other things, where things of a small they do not even operate on means 6 sigma. They go up to 9 and 10 sigma,
Yes, yes, certainly.
and
The
they have
Japanese and Koreans are like
no expectations of any
I
error.
can completely
Aerospace and defense
understand. Yes.
industries, right? All those things you cannot expect even to have a silly errors coming out there. In that aspect, we are again learning. Like you said, you give our hand, you will catch your entire, start with hand, you will catch your entire body, and you'll sit on your head also. That also time comes where we sit on the heads, and we look forward to rule those particular vertical, and we have seen those transformation happening slowly and gradually. We are reaching there, and uh, of course in some years from now, I'm happy to say that you would also see Tata's chip coming up, and you would see the first mover advantage in that case. That is when you
I
will see.
will give you two
us.
more examples of haath pakrao, bazu pakad lenge that we've been discussing.
Yeah.
Second World War, we were absolutely in dearth short of ammunition globally and vehicles that could serve. Mahindra at that time acquired the manufacturing license for Willys, the very popular World War II Jeeps.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Mahindra was a very small organization at that time. हाथ पकड़ाया आज महिंद्रा ने globally cars बेचनी शुरू कर दी. That is a brilliant example of how things happen to be in India. I will give you another again. I'll give you a telecom example again. Sunil Bharti Mittal was a Ludhiana guy, a Punjab guy. His father was an MLA in Punjab, and his father went to Pawan Munjal, the original owner of Hero Industries. They were good family friends, and he said कि मेरे बेटे को कुछ काम सिखाओ, बताओ क्या काम करेगा. And he said, Pawan Munjal said कि I'm getting those Gararis, the gears of the cycles, I'm getting it outsourced and getting it manufactured from someone. Can Sunil Mittal do it? And Sunil said yes. He took a loan of 40,000 from his father. This was told by Sunil Mittal in one of his town halls while I was with Airtel. Sunil Bharti Mittal took a 40,000 rupee loan from his father and started his gears manufacturing in Ludhiana. Now, at that time, the telecom revolution was just about to happen. Beetle Telecom came into India, and they approached Sunil Bharti Mittal that you make the gears in bigger form factor. Can you make it in the smaller form factor for my rotary phones? And Sunil Bharti Mittal agreed to it, and rest is history. Again, haath pakrao, bazu pakad lenge.
That's great. In fact, it poses like one of the biggest things. Like when you talk about the slow and gradual change in research and development and the pace at which we are moving, there is a contradiction which comes in where Himanshu says that is in Israel, the company which he is operating with, and there are large number of Indian brains which are actually at the particular level. In fact, you can see in Silicon Valley and everywhere. Do you think is it the brain drain which is creating this kind of big problem? If yes, why India is not able to sustain them? Because the Indians moving out, doing the job, the people actually look for on-site jobs. Ashish, I think, yeah, I can relate to it. And so my guy is going there, doing some kind of innovation in the company there, and it's getting patented in that particular company. That technology comes back to India, and we start doing the service to that particular thing. Is the brain drain is one of the biggest examples. And then I have a very interesting thought process going on. The second part of the question is, do you think that, and what are your comments on the particular point, is these global organizations, probably you can talk about the UN if I talk about, or any other setup of, as a matter of fact, moment they say that countries like us coming hard and fast in manufacturing, doing a lot of research and innovation, then immediately comes a clause of green manufacturing. Is it developed, designed? Because if I look at the pollution levels of 1917 in London and US, they were exactly same which are there in Delhi today, right? Because they were the manufacturing hubs then. Then nobody talked about the green solutions. But now, if we are growing into business, is it a hoax perpetuated to put a hurdle in front of India that there are supposed to be green initiatives and we are pumping it too much and it is stopping us from growth? So these are the 2 points where I want to hear your comments on. We can start with you, Ashish.
Yeah. So brain drain is what I wanted to include earlier as well when we were talking about the technicalities, and like Shivani and Manchu was mentioning, right? Brain drain is something which has been happening throughout, not just in IT but also in healthcare at a larger level. two major reasons. First is work versus pay. Not that they are not paid well here, but the amount of intellectual they put in versus the amount they expect, and the same amount. One of the conversion is also one of the reasons. When I say conversions, I'm talking about dollar and the dollar values versus Indian values. No, that is one of the biggest no probing things what you see here, and cost of living is equally expensive there when you settle outside as well as an NRI or something that way. Uh, I hardly used to save, I don't want to coin the number, but the food was equally expensive because the conversion, when you stay there and earn that way, when you stay there and come back, is when you save more. Yeah. When you earn there and stay there, you do not have sustainable that figures what you think of in that ways. So many people try to be there for 180 plus days, but that is when you get coined as an NRI,
And there are
and
very
that
less
is
options of passive income also.
a passive
Which is
income.
why large they are very large in India in comparison.
See, passive income. If you talk about existing companies, they also have a term called moonlighting. They also monitor this passive income is not coming up, and they because they want to retain their own intellectual property with them.
Certainly.
And they do not want to inculcate a habit of getting into additional sort of, because you cannot concentrate at both the both the podiums in the same level.
Absolutely.
Somewhere you will have to concentrate somewhere higher because you are being hired by them and you have to deliver it to them. So brain drain is something. How do we stop that? Is no, again I come to the first point of manufacturing. So when we become our own manufacturers and the services being provided to the same manufacturers back in India, that is when you can think of reducing this brain drain, not to eliminate that.
That means we become originator.
Yes, when we become that point. And again, having said that, the numbers what we are at, population and corruption is also one of the biggest challenges what we see hand to hand. So somewhere when you correct or we correct ourselves, that is when we can look forward to correct others. So it should start from within. The second part of the question I would like you to probe against. What was the second part?
It was like the global agencies. So if even
Okay.
if the
Yeah, I
India
got
is
that.
right,
Yeah. So we have been having lot front foot forward, especially in the green hub, and we are also transforming right from ninth. What I've seen, I used to work for companies like Sucam and Jackson who are into solar and all this manufacturing space. So I remember when I entered into this green tech space, we were at 9, and now we see that we have slowly moved from 4. Now we are at 3. Surpassing many of the big giants, big names like Japan and Germany. These people are, we have surpassed them in terms of green tech, say in terms of production as well. No, we are leading in terms of solar production.
This is exactly what my point is. Do you think the West is happy that we are doing more of the green business in comparison to them?
So either the West do or
and
we
they let us do it. Okay, let them move towards green, so they cut on their manufacturing. Their focus is exactly on that particular side.
So even if they
And we
pose
just
anything,
keep on appreciating them.
Even if they pose anything, I'm sure again frugal innovation would somehow find out a way out. And but we also were thinking of a challenge. Where do we dispose the solar panels?
Yes. that's
Recycling
correct.
of solar panel was also one of the biggest challenges which we are thinking of. 5 years back, we were discussing on. No, we know that solar panel comes with a lifespan of 25 years, and 25 years is the warranty of a solar panel. That is highest of any product you get in India or anywhere in the globe. Solar panel comes with a lifetime warranty of 25 years. And and that is every year or with gradual time span, the efficiency of the solar panel goes on reducing. But what is bigger challenge is the infra of that developed thing. How do we dispose that? Now we are
Like
formed.
Ashish, just one question I wanted to pose in. So if I look into the technological dumping ground India was becoming, and before a lot of tech companies come in and started doing it, because I could still recall when the LCD or LED was introduced in India, and that time that was an extreme technology from the US and the entire West. And yes, we were means I could see that whatever technology was getting outdated there, and that was pushed largely into India, which is not the case largely now. So do you think that same particular model, learning from, like you said, the learning curve and taking the knowledge, getting into the African countries and putting the things there, is it ethical? I don't know, probably business ethical, or is it like more
So I don't want to
responsible?
talk on ethics. At least when it comes to business, it is equally like when it is everything is fair in love and war. So business also considered that as a tagline, But at the same time, ethics wise, I would rather say that we are looking for a transformative way. How do we dispose it in the way that the basic of formation of a solar panel is coming from a chip, which is a silicon, which is we wraith, and that is the basic form of a spherical cell, and that is how the complete panel. Somehow the transformation of the aluminum panel is segregated, and then they are trying out to formulate that how do we segregate a glass layer of, because glass is again silicon, and they are trying to somehow dispose it, so that that problem what we were thinking some years down the line is no more a problem now. So but the green tech will continue to happen, and everywhere if you see the biggest step in industry 5.0 would be ESG, environmental social and governance, is the major focus of what we are looking forward to. And the first one, when I say environmental,
alignment with the SDG goals of government.
yes, and when you look forward to that, somewhere all the companies are bound to align around this deliveries of environmental concerns. So I'm sure that when you are bound by the norms, you have to follow that pathways, and that then you find a solution around this. That is what I want to comment here.
Dr. Som, you mentioned about the West. So let me talk about the hypocrisy of the West.
It does.
Yes.
And I have a wonderful example
I'll
coming
give
in.
you again two examples.
Right after you are going to put it through.
First, when the COVID vaccination was invented or it was made, a very famous professor of Oxford University said, let's test it on Nigerians. Are they guinea pigs? They're not. When the Ukraine-Russian war happened, they said, there was a BBC reporter who said on air that these are not the Browns of Saudi Arabia who are fighting. It is blue-eyed, white-skinned people like us who are getting killed. This is the Western hypocrisy, and that applies to the ESG as well.
Absolutely, yes. Yes, Shivani, you were planning to say something.
So I think many of the things have already been covered under this, and we quoted a very good example of COVID vaccine also. But I would like to say here, like in the very first point you mentioned about the brain drain. So I would say that I would like to put the government perspective here, right? So how they are taking it, because I worked with the government of Karnataka very deep into it, with the Department of Social Empowerment and Youth, and what they are trying to do there is that the rural youth, especially between the age of 18 to 26, they should not leave their villages, and they get the opportunity then and there only to make their livelihood. Okay? So that, because the problem which is occurring is that the youth in village, they come to these states, and the youth in the state, they go to metropolitan cities. The youth in the metropolitan city, they further go abroad.
So it's a one cycle up every single time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So it is something like, if I have to give my example, then I'm born and brought up in Delhi, and I feel very happy when once in 3 months or 6 months I meet someone who is born and brought up in Delhi of my age and is still in Delhi. So it looks like some event is there. अच्छा आप भी यहाँ पे से हैं? आप नहीं गए कहीं पे? It's like that, and so this cycle is happening, and the government very diligently they want to break this cycle, because they want the youth to stay where they belong, and for that they need to provide the opportunities there, so that they should not feel like to move from there for the better income prospect, like Ashish mentioned, right? So that is one thing which is happening. And for the later part, I would say that yes, since I work a lot with the government of different states, central and state, so I have seen that the focus is on the sustainable goal of development. And from the OEM perspective, whatever the new technology is coming, we are trying to do alignment with these goals. So that is the focus which has shifted because of the introduction of these goals. and the way they are being propagated in the industry with the government. Everywhere we can see that even a small state, if they are conducting anything related to SCGs, there is a huge propaganda, and everywhere from the local vendor to the OEM, they try to portray there that what is there in the product which is in alignment with these goals. So that is where the focus is shifted. But if I have to say, there is one aspect of carbon emission which is there, which is in the focus list. But yes, there is a lot of work which needs to be done, because whatever we are creating, ultimately we are responsible that how it is going to be disposed of, what we are leaving for the future generations. And since the focus is on research and development, then the OEMs and especially the government is also trying to figure out the ways wherein it can be in alignment, so that a better world will be left once we are not here. Thank you.
Yes, Himanshu, please add the
So,
point.
this brilliantly said by Shivani. But again, I'm still not over with the West's hypocrisy. We've all seen videos of on Discovery where the old cars, old Ford and General Motors cars are just crushed in the US. Have you seen
Yes,
those
yes.
videos?
And they've been layered.
And do we know that in the Greater India region or the Greater Bharat region, we have a place called Chittagong, which is called the graveyards of the ships of the world. All the ships, when they retire, they come to Chittagong and they're broken down into components, and every component is reconsumed.
Oh,
Every bit of ship is reconsumed. So this is where the West does not need to teach us the environmental goals. We are way past it, and we know that we don't need to crush those ships like the cars that they do.
That's a wonderful point.
I
which
would
you
like to add here to Himanshu. So I would say, if any one of you heard of Mitti Cool,
Yeah,
yeah,
Manshu bhai.
yeah, that is the earthen refrigerator, which is completely made in India. It is being exported along with the other earthen products, and it ensures that in the villages or any place wherein we are controlling the use of electricity, it can keep the products completely fresh for next 4 to 5 days, and it is earthen.
What is the name you called?
Mitti Cool.
Mitti Cool.
Manshu bhai, Gujarat.
Okay.
Yeah, please carry on.
Yeah. So that is one, one of the revolution, I would say, which took place in India. And he said it right, that we do not need to learn it from the West, but yes, we need that fire to remind us many a times that this is what where the focus should be there. We cannot ignore it. So that is what is important. And for that, I really like the SDGs goals, and I don't mind learning from them because they give me a prompt. Every day, if I get a prompt on my phone that your software needs to be updated, so eventually after 4 or 5 days, I will start thinking, हाँ मेरे को ये रात को चार्ज में करने से पहले इसका सॉफ्टवेयर अपडेट करना है, otherwise I'll be behind. Similarly, SDG goals are also, probing like that. See, you have to be conscious about the environment, whatever you are doing. Today, if you ask me, I ensure that 90% of the time, if I am wearing something, it should be made in India. I don't want to buy it from Zara. Why would I give them? My question to, I will take few more minutes here.
Yeah, certainly.
So to me, it is something like that. I give the example of going abroad. The Delhiites settled in abroad. So my entire family is abroad, but I am here. My father asks me every second day, he calls, "Tu bhi aaja," right? I'm the youngest one. I say that when I learn everything from here, why would I go to some other country and just add on to their GDP? I don't want to do that. Why would I do that? I'm happy here. I want to contribute here.
Wonderful,
So
wonderful.
this is, I think we need that fire within ourselves, and by any reminders from west or east or north or south, we should just do it.
Yeah, that's great, wonderful. In fact, one of the great examples which is coming in my head is if I look into hockey. So Indian hockey was at its peak when I talk about Major Dhyan Chand. We produced legends like Bharat Singh and Major Dhyan Chand. When the West tried every nook and corner, tried their level best to break into hockey and putting India behind, but they couldn't do it. So what did they do is they changed the turf.
Yes.
From ground, they brought the extra turf in. Now, India was not having that kind of global voice where they could have opposed it. They had to prepare their, then from class, it became a power game. And the Indians took again 20, 30 years to get those turfs. They were very costly, right, in the beginning. If I see in the beginning in India, probably one or two turfs are there in entire country.
There was one in Jalandhar that I know.
Yeah.
That was
So
the
there,
first
there
one
were
to be
certain turfs were there. So India, so West made it an investment game and a power game. And for 30, 40 years, our hockey has seen a really bad era. That's very important. The Shivani's point I want to bring in. And right after this thing, what we will do is we'll give the concluding remarks. I think, Ashish, that is the way we're going to wind up. If a boy who is actually studying in India, probably 21 years, he does his 12th and graduation, so he consumes all the resources of the country, no contribution to GDP, only consumption, then he goes to Canada or probably US, keeps on working on 5 years extended PR, and then he comes back at the age of 55 and 60, again start consuming the resources of the country, and the contribution into the GDP again is nil. And that is a big game which is happening from the south. A large population is moving to UAE, and from here it is moving to the Western societies like Canada, and probably Cyprus is nowadays opening a lot of doors. So you are rightly pointing it out that the contribution of the GDP is supposed to be here. I would quickly now move to the closing remarks. I think we can start with the Ashish, then Shivani, and then Himanshu, please.
I think to conclude, I would say, no nation is perfect, but we can move towards perfection. Like no humans are perfect. Having said that, we have seen that the previous revolutions were of other nations, but I'm sure in coming 10 years we would lead the change. We would the flag bearers of many things, especially. But having said that, again, learning can come from anywhere, from any aspects, and we should keep learning. Maybe a startup perspective, or I see lots of startup gathered today, and various people aspiring to get into. So learning can come from anywhere. It's not that there's no stringent rule that as a student then you can look for just getting into startup. You can also get into corporate and then look for a startup career, because you should also learn before you get into something. That gives you an easy glide path to get into something in a formal way. So keep learning, keep transforming, and uh, let's be the flag bearers of change. I'm hopeful about India. I'm sure you are too. So thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yes, Shivani.
Right. The concluding remark, I feel like it बहुत जल्दी आ गया बातों में वक्त का पता ही नहीं चला. I would say that we have to be very conscious, and we have to be very self-conscious for what we are learning, what we are gaining, and at the same time, how we are contributing, how we are making the difference, not only in our life, but the people who are around us. It's very important, and it is not needed that to make a change. We need a startup. We need to work in a with a big name in a big OEM. It is a commitment to our own self that if we are here, how we are, if we are learning this, then learning multiplies when we share it. So how we are sharing it, and with all these small steps, we can definitely make a difference. And that difference, if we start making it at every level, then definitely it can bring a fire, and things will start shaping up in a very futuristic, in a very positive way. And positivity is very important. So I think that is what is here. We should promote Make in India. I'm a big, flag bearer of Make in India, and I really like, even in the smallest way, if I promote the Indian artisan or Indian handloom or Indian food, or if I give my focus to millet. And in India, we have everything very good. It is just that since we have it, we do not understand the value of it, and what we don't have, we always feel like that it is good because grass is always greener on the other side. So we need to change that perspective, because perspective or your perception about something is the reality. And that reality, we need to set it right. Thank you.
We need to have respect for our local heroes. While Einstein would have done a contribution to his side of the world, E is equal to mc squared does not make a lot of sense to me. While the innovations done by APJ Abdul Kalam, by Dr. Visheshwaraya, Dr. Burgess Kurian, Dr. Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw, they have impacted your and my lives. Let's start worshipping local heroes of this beautiful country.
Wonderfully said, and thank you, panelists, for such a wonderful insight. And definitely, we are concluding this particular panel discussion with a lot of takeaways. One thing is promoting Indian startups and becoming an end-to-end solution to the production hub. And one thing is becoming the originators. That's what is supposed to be at the core. From service industry, yes, we are having a business of 254 billion, which is growing rapidly in terms of export of services from India. We need to be little more focused, little more expanding, little more expediting the solutions of product export. With these words, I conclude. I thank you very much. The audience have been a wonderful audience, and of course, the panelists. Thank you very much.
Concept and Ms. Alka Sachdeva, IILM University. Please come forward to give
Wonderful.